drank for 3 days, protect my infant Rabab, cries and praise. Asghar, where have you gone? Before on one call you'd open your small eyes. I've been calling your name, I hear no reply. My baby, you did not even say goodbye. I can't see now you were the light to my eyes. I heard a cry that shook me to the core. You can't even crawl, how can you go to war? Asghar, where have you gone? As your mother, I ask you, son, do answer. Have you joined your grandfather by the Kawthar? Are you now with your butchered brother Akbar? I wonder what state you met your Creator. An arrow resting in your delicate neck, your arms fluttered as against your veins it pressed. Asghar, where have you gone? Asghar, where have you gone? My only worth is to be called your small slave. I bow my head as I am in so serve you again and again when I'm resting in my dark and small grave. Don't ignore me when I call out your holy name. Asghar, where have you gone? درود भेजिए मोहम्मद आले मोहम्मद पर.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Raza, for that beautiful recitation of English poetry. For the acceptance of his recitation, please recite another loud salawat. I'd now like to ask Brother Hassan Ali to come forward and recite his narrative. If everyone can please welcome him with another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The tribe of the lion and the birth of the city. It is the 3rd of Muharram. The caravan of Hussein has divided the night between worship and rest. They are preparing for what is to come, readying themselves and their families mentally and psychologically. Hussein dispatches a letter to his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya in Hijaz. It contains his will and final testament. He makes a general announcement. He wants to purchase the land he is camped on. The news of his intentions spreads like wildfire. Word reaches a branch of Bani Asad, the people of the lion, living near this wilderness. They line up outside his camp to sell. He smiles at them as they collect the money. This dunya that my father have divorced. Hussein now divorces it with a smile. Imam Hussein purchases 4 square miles of the barren desert. He pays a princely sum of 60,000 gold dirhams. His sister Zainab contributes half of this amount. She's an equal partner in his ventures. He makes a small speech to the folk of Bani Asad, addressing the men, the women, and the children, each separately. We have not come here to fight. Yazid's soldiers will fight us, and we will be killed. They will not bury our bodies, and our bodies will be left to the wild animals of the desert. I request a favor from you. Please bury our bodies. Hussein tells the youth of Bani Asad that perhaps the elders fail. They should come out and cover the bodies with the desert sand while pretending to play. Hussein entrusts the young people with the responsibility. He asks them to bear his message. He gives the land back on condition the Bani Asad extend hospitality to his pilgrims for 3 days. Alas, the Bani Asad, for fear of retribution, initially fail Hussein. Hussein has a foresight. It's as though he sees through time, millennia into the future. Even in death and through his blood, he has given life to a barren and sterile land. He is leaving a gift to this world. A city is born. In the meanwhile, Hur's 1,000 on horse has swollen to 10,000, and then some more. The garrisons of Kufa, Qadisiyah, and Nukhayla are emptied. The companies of Hassan ibn Namir, Shimr, and Umar ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas have arrived in Karbala. Hussein is cornered. The armies have encircled him, but they are now trespassing on his land. Salawat.
Ahsant, mashallah. Thank you, Brother Hassan, for that recitation of the narrative. Another loud salawat, please. As usual, brothers, I'm going to ask everyone to get up and move as far forward, as close to the mimbar as possible. I've mentioned in previous nights, this is the mimbar of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Come as close as you can, you'll get more blessings, inshallah. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat. I'd also now like to request that we all recite a Surah Fatiha for all of our marhumeen, our leaders, our teachers, the pillars of the global Shia community, the Shuhada. I think there is a slide that's going to go up with a few names of some of the marhumeen from our own community, especially Mudassir Ali Hassan, my younger brother, our dear Auntie Najma, who were here in this Majlis last year. Al-Fatiha. I'd now like to request that Brother Khamis comes forward and blesses the gathering with his bursa. If we can welcome him to the mimbar with a loud salawat, ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I would like to thank MANCOM Foundation for all their amazing work and also for giving me the chance to be a part of this gathering. Please recite a loud salawat for Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. एक रुबाई से आगाज़ करता हूँ आप सबकी इजाज़त से। माँ के दूध से ही पिया या अली मदद, माँ के दूध से ही पिया या अली मदद। हमने तो बचपने से सुना या अली मदद। मोहसिन मेरी लाहद में वो मंजर अजीब था जब मैंने खुद अली से कहा
یا علی مدد یا علی یا علی
مصائب کے چند اشعار پھر بھی صلوات.
لیلا سنبھال زینب کو لیلا سنبھال زینب کو لیلا سنبھال زینب کو بولے ہوں گے حسین یہ رو کر لیلا سنبھال زینب کو لا رہا ہوں میں لاشائے اکبر لیلا سنبھال زینب کو نوجوان لاش ہے ضعیفی ہے میری نظروں سے دیکھ منظر کو نوجوان لاش ہے ضعیفی ہے میری نظروں سے دیکھ منظر کو کیسے ہم شیر کو سنبھالوں گا میں سنبھالے ہوئے ہوں اکبر کو تیرا احسان ہوگا یہ مجھ پر لیلا سنبھال زینب کو اس کے سینے سے کہہ کے نام علی میں نے برچی ابھی نکالی ہے اس کے سینے سے کہہ کے نام علی میں نے برچی ابھی نکالی ہے امتحان دے چکی میری غربت اب تیری بے کسی کی باری ہے تو بھی اس وقت یا علی کہہ کر لیلا سنبھال زینب کو دو نگینے تھے اس کی جھولی میں دونوں اکبر پہ کر دیے صدقہ صبر ایسا کہ اپنے بیٹوں پر میں نے روتے سے نہیں دیکھا ہے مگر اب یہ لاشائے اکبر उम्मे लैला संभाल ज़ैनब को ला रहा हूँ मैं लाशाए अकबर उम्मे लैला संभाल ज़ैनब को
Salawat.
Ahsant, mashallah. What an honor it is to be able to give bursa to the Ahlul Bayt and Sayyida Zahra. Please recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before moving on and inviting Sheikh Jaffer to the minbar, we just have a few quick announcements from Brother Musa. I'm going to ask him to come forward. He'll only take a few minutes, and at the same time, I'm just going to ask one final time for the brothers to move as far forward as possible. The Majlis won't have the same feeling if there's space between everyone. Everyone please come close as possible. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Respected brothers and sisters, I won't take very much of your time. My first humble request, it is an absolute honor for us to be hosting you in these majalis, and we do encourage that you participate in your numbers with your families, but when you bring young little children with you, please note that this is your responsibility. And if they are running around everywhere in the building, it's enormously disruptive of the Majlis. There is a dedicated area for children with activities over there behind that black curtain. So if you wish to bring your children, and we'd love to have them here, please take them over there. There's toys, there's games, they can do whatever over there. But if they're running around in the building, there are hazards, there's safety issues, as well as the noise. And no children should be going on that side of the building, because there's lots of other equipment that's there that's not ours. So we don't want any mishap to happen. There was a child who got stuck in the lift because they were unsupervised yesterday. I don't want that to happen. Our volunteers, our ushers are trying their best, and if they ask you to move to or take your child to a place, please listen to them. We don't want to get into an argument. It's not in the spirit of the Majlis, so please be respectful of the audience and other people who are here trying to pay their condolences and respects to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. It's a very polite request, not pointing fingers at anybody, but just be mindful of that. Salawat. This is the fourth night here at the Sheraton with Sheikh Jaffer. Throughout this next week, from Monday up until Sunday, there is Majalis here, and also on Sunday itself, on the day of Ashura, just to let you know that there are almost 3 programs, in fact 4 programs on the day here at the Sheraton on the day of Ashura. So the Amal for the day of Ashura start in the morning, 10 o'clock. So the namaz that we do and the steps All those amal will be here next Sunday in the morning. Then at 1 o'clock will be the recitation of the maqtal of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Sayyid al-Shuhada, which Sheikh inshallah will be reciting. And after that will be the azadari for the day of Ashura. At 5 p.m. on Sunday, next Sunday, will be the arrival of the Zuljana, the Shabi, the horse of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, as though it's returning back to the camp. You are requested to participate. That will be outside in the car park with azadari and faka shikni. So if you're keeping a faka, there will be some food. But we do request that you don't litter, you clean up, and we do it in as organized way, as safe way as possible within the car park. We have to vacate the building the day, pretty much that evening. So we have to make sure that we leave it in the state that we found it. So your cooperation on the day of Ashura will be highly, highly appreciated. And then we will conclude this series next Sunday evening at the usual time with the Majlis of Sham-e Ghariba, which again, inshallah, Sheikh Jaffer will recite with Azadari. We are thinking of having a question and answer session between, on 1 or 2 of the days in between. For that to happen, we have to start promptly with the Sheikh sat on the mimbar at 8 o'clock, so that we can have the Sheikh finish at 9 o'clock and the Matam to finish at maybe 9:20, so it allows us a 40-minute window after the Matam and Maghrib Namaz to have that Q&A. But for us to start on time, it's very disheartening if maybe there's at 7 o'clock, 5, 10, 15 people sat in the audience. So maybe we'll announce in advance that we were having a Q&A on this day, and we would request that people are early that day so that we can manage the program accordingly. Salawat. 2 more announcements and then I will invite the Sheikh. Obviously, this announcement is about donations and your support to make these events possible. As I said, it's costing us in the region of £5,000 a night to host and kind of afford these majalis. Now, don't think of it as a burden on you individually, but if each of us maybe contributed 100, 200 pounds, something like that, then we as a community, as a family can come together and make all of this possible and affordable. And if, for example, there are 600 people or 700 people attending each night, then you can do the maths yourself. And if you wish to support, if Allah has given you more tawfiq, then support and give accordingly, because this is a continuation, this is a series. We'll have majalis again next year, we'll have majalis the year after that. And if you wish to be a partner, a patron, a member of these programs, then take one of our standing order forms and you can fill one in for £20 a month, £15 a month, as is the tawfiq for you, so that we can partner up, so that when it comes to the Muharram, we've already built that relationship over the course of the year and we're not as in need of finances, so it makes the planning a lot easier. I hope it's a fairly intuitive, logical, straightforward thing that I'm saying, and inshallah, for the sake of Abu Abdullah, and you'll find it easy to give. As Sayyid Mudarris, he said last year that when you're giving for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, make sure that your wallet feels the pinch for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And Abu Abdullah is a generous master. He'll multiply and give you 70 times, 1,000 times back, insha'Allah. Salawat. I'd now like to invite Sheikh Jaffer Ladak, our respected guest, as a way of introduction for those who don't know him or those who are perhaps attending for the first time. Sheikh Jaffer is a student of Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Mudarrisi. He spent 5 years in the Hawza in the holy city of Karbala, and he corrected me yesterday. He has a degree not in Islamic studies but in Islamic law from the college, Islamic College in London, and Middlesex University, he's saying, I've heard him. And he's currently residing in the holy city of Qom. He's been there for the past year. And he told me many, many years ago that he aspires to be a mufassir of the Holy Quran. I think he's forgotten that himself. And I think maybe his aspirations have changed since, because I've known the Sheikh for many, many years. So maybe his aspirations have changed. He's also a published author. He's published 7 books. 2 of his books are on sale at the stall downstairs. One book is called Baladatun Tayyibatun, which is a book on the story of Yemen in the Quran. It's quite relevant given what is happening in Yemen at the moment. So I would recommend that you buy this book. And the second book that we have is called The Ways of the Righteous, which is inspirational stories from the lives of our marajeh and our scholars. So again, this is a really nice read as well. Both of these books are on sale at the bookshop, and all the proceeds of this go to support this Majlis. And some of his other books are on their way, inshallah, and perhaps we can have a full catalogue of his books, a full anthology of his books on sale later on. So without further ado, please welcome him with the loudest and warmest of your voices, with a salawat.
Please open your Qur'ans to the following 2 ayat. The first one that you will need is chapter number 17, Surah Al-Isra, verse number 60. Chapter number 17, verse number 60. And then chapter number 14, Surah Ibrahim, verse number 28. Chapter 14, verse 28. Kindly have these 2 ayats open so that we can have them available and ready for the discussion in our topic tonight. To ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the appearance of His Eminence, the master of our age, Imam al-Mahdi, ajjalallahu ta'ala faraj al-sharif, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There is a request for Surah Al-Fatiha for the following marhumeen. Marhum Mudassir Ali Hassan, Dr. Sayyid Azhar Hassan Ja'fari, Sayyid Nazr Abbas Zaidi, whose demise anniversary is actually today, Sister Shinaz Jilani, and Brother Muhammad Rafiq Khan. For them and for all of our marhumeen, Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا الممجد بشير المصدق المصطفى الأمجد محمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة الله على الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر إلى الذين بدلوا نعمة الله كفرا وأحلوا قومهم دار البوار آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد Awaited Savior of humanity, Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, my respected teachers, elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا أبي عبد الله الحسين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. If we look at the thread of the discussion in our series so far, we have mentioned the following key points. Number one, that there were two major reasons as to why Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam was forced to rise. One, he says in his own statement that the sunnah has perished and bid'ah has been enlivened and replaced the sunnah. Second, Yazid ibn Muawiyah sought to force bay'ah upon him, meaning not only to surrender himself as an individual, but as the representative of haqq itself would then be submitting to batil in its entirety. And this is something that Islam can never do. We also mentioned that it is the duty of the alim Rabbani, the godly scholar, to raise the flag of resistance against the taghut of the time. For silence or the fear or the retreat of the alim means not only the retreat of the community, but potentially the destruction of the community at the hands of the Yazid of the time. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam gave an entire sermon at Mina to try to galvanize the ulama at the time in order to make them change their approach in responding back to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. There were four individuals that Yazid ibn Muawiyah sought bay'ah from. Of course, he wanted the entirety of the ummah to submit and to surrender to his corruption. But in order to achieve it, he specifically sought bay'ah from four individuals. As we said, the role of the leader of the community, of an alim of a community, is not only just to stand, but to purify the thinking of people so they themselves understand how to know what batil appears like and how batil can be responded back to. These four individuals were seen as the leaders of the ummah in various different spaces by virtue of either having a famous father in the ummah, or being part of a leading tribe within the ummah, playing a leading political role within the ummah. And so, as potential candidates for the khilafat, it was necessary to try to obtain their bay'ah by Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Who were they? One was Abdullah ibn Abbas. One was Abdullah ibn Zubayr. The third was Abdullah ibn Umar al-Khattab. Abdullah, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph. And of course, His Eminence, the master of the martyrs, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayh. Each of these four took slightly different, or maybe even vastly different responses to the demand of surrender to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar and Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam all met in Mecca during the Hajj season and had a lengthy discussion between themselves, which are recorded in the books of history. Tonight, inshallah, we will read excerpts, maybe even the entirety of that hadith. And we want to focus on Abdullah ibn Umar and the way in which he responded to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Why? Abdullah ibn Umar's stance, especially during the time of Imam al-Hussein and after his martyrdom, has left the most despicable, indelible mark upon the Muslim Ummah until today. And the moment we understand the hypocrisy and the double dealings of Abdullah ibn Umar al-Khattab, we will understand the extent of the damage that he has played upon Islam until today, and in fact is probably the name that is cited most by the Yazids of today for the justification of the rule of the Yazids today. If we want to be able to awaken the Muslim Ummah to their God-given independence, to overthrow the kings and the pharaohs of today, if the Ummah is to open its eyes to one theological principle of the Husseini movement, what blocks the Husseini movement from their mind is what Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab did during the time of Imam and after Imam. So whenever you and I want to sit and talk about Al Saud or Al Khalifa in Bahrain, or the despicable kings and leaders of the Arab Emirates, and all these people that have usurped the position of Islam, the wealth of Islam, and you ask yourselves, why do their people believe that they have some legitimacy? Who looks at Fir'aun today, Muhammad bin Salman, and says he has some legitimacy? We cannot speak out against him. He's a legitimate ruler. Where do they get this idea from? It is from the ahadith and the stance that Abdullah ibn Umar took during the time of Imam alayhi salam and after. The moment you and I have the intellectual resource to understand his role in history until today, whenever we speak to others about the reality of these pharaohs today, we will have the ability to pinpoint to them where this bid'ah entered into Islam, that we are unable to speak against the Fir'aun of the time. What we will do inshallah tonight is we will look at the ahadith between these three individuals. We'll look at the ayat, we'll look at certain ahadith, and especially the opinion of non-Shia ulama and the way in which in history they understood the statements of people like Abdullah ibn Umar. At the end of the discussion, the hope is you and I have that ability to understand who are the Abdullah ibn Umars of today. Who are those people that knew and know about the Husseini movement, but falsely depict the idea that you cannot rise against a tyrant leader And as a result, we must all lay under the boot of people like Muhammad bin Salman, or under the boot of Al Saud, or under the boot of these tyrannical kings. Where has the Ummah got this idea from? Abdullah ibn Umar had such hatred for Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayh, that when Imam alayhi salam accepted the position of Khilafat, he was always Imam, when he accepted the political position of Khilafat, Abdullah ibn Umar al-Khattab publicly stated, I want to be the last person to give bay'ah to Ali ibn Abi Talib. It's really important that you understand his background. We're talking about the son of the one who took Khilafat from Amir al-Mu'mineen, martyred Lady Fatima, salamullahi alayha. This is the individual, Abdullah ibn Umar. He stated, I want to be the last individual to give bay'ah to Amir al-Mu'mineen. SubhanAllah, the entire ummah has gathered upon this allegiance. What arrogance to say this. After Abdullah ibn Umar went to Mecca in order to be able to try to create hostility against Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam was approached by his companion Malik al-Ashtar. Malik said, Abdullah, he doesn't submit to your statement. He doesn't submit to the will of the people. He doesn't even submit to the threat of your whip. What should we do? Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam responded by saying, it is not for me to force anyone's bay'ah. Do you see the difference between the leadership of Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam? La ikraha fi ad-din. Qad tabayyana ar-rushd min al-ghayy. It has to be in here, iman, submission, not forcing you. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean that we don't pay attention to your crimes. And Imam watched what Abdullah ibn Umar was doing, and as he was going towards Mecca to create plots against Amir al-Mu'mineen, he brought him back. At the end of it, Abdullah ibn Umar neither gave allegiance to Ali ibn Abi Talib, nor did he manage to pull off any plots. Do you know what he did? He gave allegiance to Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. Understand the individual that we are talking about. After the death of Muawiyah wrote a wasiyah to Yazid and said to him, get the bay'ah of these four individuals, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Specifically regarding Abdullah ibn Umar, Muawiyah said, don't worry if he doesn't give you allegiance. Don't push him away from your circles. He will come back to you over a period of time. SubhanAllah. Muawiyah understood the psychology of this individual so well that he could even give this level of detailed advice to Yazid. Said, if he doesn't, don't attack him. Look at the difference. When it comes to Hussein ibn Ali, salamullahi alayhi, if he and when he rejects your bay'ah, off with his head. When it comes to Abdullah ibn Umar, leave him, he will come back to you. I'll tell you this maybe again later on, but this dog of an individual, do you know how sickening he was in the heart? After Yazid's death, and then eventually came the Khilafat of Marwan ibn Hakam, Marwan ibn Hakam had his governor, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Probably no one in the history of the Ummah has massacred people like Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. When he became the Khalifa, he was governor of Marwan ibn Hakam. Abdullah ibn Umar rushed in the middle of the night. I'll explain why later. Rushed in the middle of the night to give bay'ah to Marwan ibn Hakam. He went to the governor. The governor Hajjaj is in bed. He wakes him up in the middle of the night. He gives bay'ah to Marwan ibn Hakam. Do you know what Hajjaj does? And this is mentioned in the ahadith. You know what Hajjaj does? He doesn't stick out his hand to take the Pledge of Allegiance of Abdullah ibn Umar. He sticks out his foot and says, "Kiss my feet." And Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab kissed the feet of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi in order to give allegiance to Marwan bin Hakam. Understand whom we are talking about. Understand who has influenced, unfortunately, billions of Muslims in their thinking. If you want to be able to raise the curtain and get people to understand the movement of Hussein, salamullahi alayhi, it is this individual that we have to intellectually put back in his place, remove from having authority in Islam, Abdullah ibn Umar. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was in the Hajj. And I want to read to you excerpts from this meeting that he has with Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar. Al-Hussein alayhi salam entered Mecca and its inhabitants were greatly delighted at his arrival. They visited him day and night. At that time, Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab were in Mecca. They both came to see Al-Hussein alayhi salam. They had decided to leave for Medina. Ibn Umar said to him, "Ya Aba Abdullah, may Allah have mercy on you. Be mindful of Allah." Yani have taqwa. Abdullah ibn Umar is telling Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, have taqwa, mashallah. Be mindful of Allah, to whom is your ultimate end. Now, as I read this lengthy discussion, as much as you're able to pay attention to the different conversations, the elements, I want you to pay more attention to the discourse of Abdullah ibn Umar, more than Abdullah ibn Abbas. And I want you to note the number of excuses he gives as to why bay'ah should be given to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Yeah? That's what I want you to mostly pay attention. Even if you have to note it down, I'll also read it and note it for you. But I want you to see, and there's 6 or 7 different reasons as to why he says to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, just give allegiance, just give allegiance, just give allegiance. There's nothing you can do, just give allegiance. And I want you to see the hadith that he himself cites about the virtue of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and how eventually he uses fictitious ahadith to escape the truth of bay'ah to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Be mindful of Allah, to whom is your ultimate return. Number 1, you are aware of the hostility of the household of Banu Umayyah towards you, and their injustices against you, O Hussein. But the people have accepted the authority of this man, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. He's telling him why he should give bay'ah. The first excuse is, what can we do? Poor us. Yeah, we are leaders of the society. Yeah, my father was the former Khalifa. Yeah, I have the biggest reputation. Yeah, I was a kingmaker when it came to Muawiyah. Yeah, Muawiyah says that I have such a prominent position in the ummah that Yazid should get allegiance from me. But the people have accepted Yazid. What can we do? Do you see the logic? The weakness in the mindset. The people have accepted. Who are we as leaders of the ummah to do anything? This is the first excuse he gave to Hussein ibn Ali. The people have accepted the authority of this man, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Number one. Excuse number two. And I fear that the people will turn to him for financial gain. So because Yazid is ultimately in charge of Baytul Mal and will write down for people what they earn, what can we do about it? So people are already accepting, and people already are going to get their wages from this man. What can we do? And then he says, and I fear that Yazid will kill you and many people will perish because of this. Subhanallah. Look at the logic. Argument number 3. You yourself will die, so you should give allegiance. Argument number 4. The people will die because of your battle with Yazid. Oh, so it was okay for you to support Muawiyah and allow people to die. But when it comes to this issue with Yazid, what can we do? The weakness in the logic of this man. All he wanted was Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam to submit because he had hatred for Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. If I'm a coward, why shouldn't you be a coward as well? Is what he wants to say to Imam al-Hussein. If I am corruptible, why shouldn't you be corruptible as well, O Hussein? Just because I want to kiss the feet of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, why shouldn't you kiss the feet of Yazid ibn Muawiyah? This is in Mecca. Subhanallah, imagine being at the Kaaba and advising the grandson of the Prophet these things. What treachery in this individual. Indeed, I have, now listen to this. This is again Abdullah ibn Umar speaking, same statement. Indeed, I have heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, Hussein will be killed. And as for those who take part in his killing and betray him and do not assist him, Allah will debase those individuals on the Day of Judgment. This is a quote from Abdullah ibn Umar in Mecca to Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Think about that very carefully. These hadith are accepted by all schools of thought. This is not disagreed. He actually says, I heard the Prophet say that I should not leave you. But you should agree to Yazid because people have agreed to Yazid. You should agree to Yazid because he has the wealth. You should agree to Yazid because he will kill you otherwise. Even though I've heard the Prophet say, do not abandon Hussein, and if you do, your end will be Jahannam. He continues, my advice is to compromise with him the way others have compromised with him. Be patient just as you were patient with Muawiyah before, and perhaps God will judge between you and between those who are unjust. I will tell you this. Understand it, because this is the problem today when it comes to these matters. This is the veneer of religiosity. Fasbir, be patient, my brother. Allah will judge between you. Allah will judge who was right and who was wrong. Let's just make dua for the mustad'afeen for the oppressed and downtrodden. That's what they do, don't they? In the Jum'ah khutbah inside Mecca and Medina, what do? Allahumma ansur muslimin wal muslimat. Allah will be there for them. Allah will judge. Allah will judge Fir'aun Netanyahu. Allah will judge Fir'aun Kiyastama. Don't do anything. Don't say anything. You can't speak against a ruler. That mentality comes directly from Abdullah ibn Umar, as I will show you. Hussein alayhi salam responds, O Aba Abdul Rahman, should I pledge allegiance to Yazid and compromise with him while the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said what he has said about him and his father? This is very important. O Abdullah ibn Umar, should I compromise whilst the Prophet has said about him what he has said? Abdullah ibn Abbas now enters, as in he now speaks, and says, you have spoken the truth, O Aba Abdullah. The Prophet in his lifetime said, what have I, Rasulullah, done to Yazid? May Allah never bless Yazid. He shall kill Al-Hussein, my son and the son of my daughter, by the one who controls my life. Those who kill my son whilst he is amongst them or fail to protect him, Allah will make him such that their hearts and their tongues will never be consistent with one another. This is important. Open your Qur'ans to chapter number 17, Surah Al-Isra. Which ayah number? Ayah number 60. Ahsantum. Barakallahu feekum. In leading Sunni commentaries as well as Shia, the Prophet is repeatedly quoted as saying that after him, Banu Umayyah would cause tyranny within the Ummah, and you must turn away from them. So when Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam raises this response, and he says, don't you remember what the Prophet said about it? And then Abdullah ibn Abbas confirms throughout the Ummah, there were ahadith circulating from the Prophet giving tafsir of the Quran and ta'wil of the Quran, explaining that Allah Himself has cursed Banu Umayyah in the Quran. Chapter 17, verse 60. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لَكَ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ أَحَاطَ بِالنَّاسِ وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الرُّؤْيَا الَّتِي أرأيناك إلا فتنة للناس والشجرة الملعونة في القرآن. When we said to you, indeed your Lord encompasses all people. We did not make the vision which we showed to you and the tree cursed in the Quran, except that this cursed tree would be a fitna, a trial for people. And we frighten them, Banu Umayyah, but it only increases them in their insolence. وَنُخَوِّفُهُمْ فَمَا يَزِيدُهُمْ إِلَّا طُغْيَانًا كَبِيرًا. Even the word Yazid is mentioned within this ayah. In Badr al-Din al-Aini's tafsir, Al-Qurtubi's tafsir, Fakhruddin al-Razi's tafsir, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned by stating that Shajaratul Mal'una, the accursed tree in the Quran, is Banu Umayyah. And even there in it, the hadith mentions وَمَا اسْتَجْمَعَ ضَاحِكًا مِنْ يَوْمَئِذٍ حَتَّى مَاتَ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ from that time that the Prophet had a dream that there was Banu Umayyah sitting on his pulpits till the day he died, the Prophet did not laugh out of joy. In books of non-Shia. Even in the tafsir of Al-Alusi, one of the most important mufassirin in the history of Islam, even he mentions this and goes into great detail on the crimes of Banu Umayyah based on these ayat. The other ayat from chapter number 14, Surah Ibrahim, verse 28, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا وَأَحَلُّوا قَوْمَهُمْ دَارَ الْبَوَارِ. Do you not see those who exchanged God's ni'mah, blessings and favor, and instead what do they take? Kufr, ingratitude, and make their people end in the house of ruin? They have ni'mah of Allah and they do tabdeel of it. They exchange it for kufr. This ayah was revealed according to Qurtubi when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that this was about Banu al-Mughira and Banu Umayyah. That the ummah did tabdeel from ni'mah to kufr, to ingratitude. Al-Hakim Naysapuri, in his book Al-Mustadrak al-Sahihain, where he takes the methodology of the Sihah of Sahih Muslim and Bukhari, he mentions that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, after me, my Ahl al-Bayt will face massacre and homelessness in my nation by my nation. Our worst enemies from the nation are Banu Umayyah, Banu Mughira, and Banu Makhzoom. Hakim Naysapuri says that this hadith is valid, but neither Muslim nor Bukhari quote it, even though it matches their own requirements. So in this conversation, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam states, "Oh Abdullah ibn Umar, do you not recall what the Prophet said about me?" And everyone knew those ahadith in circulation from amongst the mainstream Muslims. Maybe those people in Syria, maybe it had not reached them because Muawiyah and Yazid had blocked those narrations, but no one in Medina and no one in Mecca could deny those hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammadin al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. I'll skip much of the conversation between the three, and I want to now mention the last part of the narration, where Abdullah ibn Umar continues his excuses and gives more reasons to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam to accept bay'ah. Ibn Umar said, "Do not make haste. Release us from this commitment, O Ibn Abbas." Then he approached Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and said, "You also do not be hasty in carrying out your decision to rise. Return to Medina, work out a truce with them." So that's another excuse. You can make a truce. You can make some sort of agreement, maybe a power sharing, maybe 1 year you're in charge, maybe 1 year Yazid is in charge, you know. Like they did at the time of the Quraysh. You remember they said to the Prophet, 1 period you can be in charge of the Quraysh, and then the other year we have our idols. This is what Abdullah ibn Umar wanted for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Return to Medina and work out a truce with them. Do not disappear from your home and the haram of your grandfather, the Prophet. Do not give these worthless people an excuse and a way against you. If you do not wish to pledge allegiance, you are free to look at your options. He literally says this, meaning what? Maybe you can go and hide in Yemen. Maybe you can go to a faraway place and, be ready. Listen to this. Yazid ibn Muawiyah may not live for very long. He may die after 20 years. Then you can have khilafat. Every excuse to try to convince Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And understand, that's what they do. They will give you every excuse under the sun to not be Husseini, to not rise against the enemy, to not speak out against the enemy. Every excuse. Wealth, no problem. Power sharing, no problem. Just don't speak. Just don't be the Habib ibn Madahir of your time. Allah will suffice you against the schemes of Yazid. Excuse after excuse. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam responded, away with such talk. Leave this nonsense talk for yourself. This will never happen. Not as long as the heavens and the earth exist will I negotiate with Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Oh Abdullah, I ask you in the name of Allah, am I wrong in this matter? If it is your opinion that I am wrong, O Abdullah ibn Umar, show me how I am wrong. And if you can do so, I will yield and listen to you. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam says, don't tell me to compromise. Show me I'm wrong. Give me a daleel. Not an emotional argument. Not an argument based in corruption and weakness and spite. Give me an argument, a daleel. Ibn Umar said, no, by Allah, God would never let the son of the daughter of his messenger be wrong. Subhanallah. Even the theology at that time was that Allah would protect you, O Hussein, from any mistake. Not my words, Abdullah ibn Umar's words. When it comes to the management of the Khilafat, there is no comparison between someone with your purity and distinction inherited from the Prophet and Muawiyah, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. However, I am afraid that your handsome and beautiful face will be disfigured by swords, and this nation will treat you in a manner that you would not like. But you yourself are doing that, oh Abdullah ibn Umar. That's my words. You are the one who's allowing the sword to strike the face of Hussein salamullahi alayhi. Don't tell us you were worried about that outcome. If you do not wish to give bay'ah, then do not do so, but at least stay in your home. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam responds, far from it. Hey heart, Ibn Umar. These people will never leave me alone. Whether they get their hands on me or not, they will not stop trying until they manage to take allegiance or force me and kill me. Even if I go home, they will kill me. This is the conversation. After the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Abdullah ibn Umar took a new stance. You can already see the hypocrisy, you can already see the enmity, you can already see the weakness, you can already see how much he is trying to make Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam like him. But the crime of Abdullah ibn Umar was even greater than this. And until today, the ummah is affected, or rather infected, with fictitious ahadith and interpretation of ahadith that come from Abdullah ibn Umar that allow the tyrants of today to remain in place. Abdullah ibn Umar would give ahadith from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would say the following statements. He would say that I heard from the Prophet that Allah has fixed in the ground a flag for any betrayer on the Day of Judgment. Meaning, on the Day of Judgment, people who betray their leaders, they will be gathered around a flag together for punishment on the Day of Judgment. And Abdullah ibn Umar created various narrations like this one, and each time he increased the level of punishment slightly, and he slightly changed the narration, and he added to it, and each time the narration would move and move and move, and all along he would then give it the interpretation and say, the fact that people themselves have united around Yazid ibn Muawiyah, this is the meaning of the Prophet's statement, that if you betray the leader of your time, you will be raised on the Day of Judgment around this flag. What happened? Two things happened. The first is that because leading figure of the ummah like Abdullah ibn Umar was quoting this sort of hadith from the Prophet, then others would quote it from the Prophet as well. Others would quote it from him as well. And that circulated. That type of hadith circulated. The second was that his interpretation, his purposefully, willfully wrong interpretation, that because of this hadith, you cannot rise against Yazid ibn Muawiyah, you cannot rise against a tyrant of your time, this became the slogan hadith of all the tyrants of the ummah until today. It is mentioned even in places like Al-Bukhari, this sort of hadith from Abdullah ibn Umar, who says that there is a flag planted on the Day of Judgment for the betrayer to his leader. And therefore, because Yazid was the rightful leader, it was not permissible for anyone to rise against him. What did people take it? People took it to its nth degree, and over a period of history, na'udhu billah, na'udhu billah, na'udhu billah, people actually dared say Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was baghi. He was rebelling against the Imam of his time. That's what they said, and you've heard those statements many, many times yourself from people even until today. Do you know how far he took it? I mentioned to you. In the middle of the night, when he found out that Marwan ibn Hakam became the Khalifa, he ran in the middle of the night to Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. Hajjaj wakes up from a sleep and says to him, why have you come in the middle of the night? What's made you rush in the middle of the night? Abdullah ibn Umar quoted that famous hadith, Man mata wa lam, whoever dies and does not give allegiance to the Imam of his time, mata mitatan jahiliyyah. He dies the death of jahiliyyah. I feared dying like a person in jahiliyyah, so I came to you, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, to give you the allegiance on behalf to Marwan ibn Hakam. What did we say happened in the hadith, in the history? Hajjaj doesn't even treat him with the dignity of kiss my hand. He extends his foot and tells him to kiss his foot. Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab kisses the foot of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, having purposefully misinterpreted this famous hadith of the Prophet that is actually about none other than Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. Until today, tyrants use these hadith and spread them in the madaris of their communities. If you were Yazid, if you were Marwan bin Hakam, if you were Hajjaj, would you not use these hadith in order to be able to give power and authority and legitimacy to your rule? Of course. And do you not think Al Saud do exactly the same thing today? You know, especially in the 80s, maybe even earlier, but really in the 80s here in the UK, many, many places around the world, Al Saud used to have an agreement with many communities. They would say, this is literally the offer, they would say, we will build for you the most beautiful masjid that you want. There's no expense spared. You pick it. You want diamond chandeliers, you want tiles from Morocco, you want whatever you want. We will build you that masjid anywhere. London, Berlin, Paris, anywhere in the world. But you have to accept our Imam of Jama'ah. And do you know how many masajid were built on that agreement? And so, for years and decades, every sermon, every lesson, every dars, every child was brought up across the ummah, whether in Pakistan, whether in Afghanistan, whether in London, on the diet of these fictitious hadith from Abdullah ibn Umar that said you are not permitted to rise against the leader of your time, lest you be raised on the day of judgment with the flag of being a betrayer. You will die mata mitatan jahiliya if you do not give allegiance to Al Saud, to Al Khalifa, to the kings of the Emirates. And this became a movement until today, which you can search in your own time, called the Madkhali movement. Which means that we have Abdullah ibn Umar's today. It is so easy to show, if you sit down for 30 minutes with someone, ayat, we mentioned to you, ahadith, we mentioned to you, the contradictions in the ahadith, we have shown to you, the logic of Abdullah ibn Umar, we have shown to you, the consequences, we have shown to you. Probably one of the best answers came from His Eminence Ayatollah Sayyid Hadi al-Mudarrisi. May Allah preserve him for us, on the pulpit in the haram of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Only a few years ago, this video is still available. He sat inside the haram of Imam and addressed the opposition, addressed those who would say that the bay'ah of Yazid is wajib shar'an, and so Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was baghi, was a rebel against him. He said, Ya Janab al-Sheikh, al-Sheikh. If that is the case, if submitting to a tyrant ruler is always right, and you are not permitted in Islam to rise up against him, then Musa was wrong against Fir'aun, Ibrahim was wrong against Namrud. Was Rasulullah also wrong for rising up against Abu Sufyan? This is your logic. Extend it. You cannot have it both ways and say that Hussein salamullahi alayhi was wrong, but Musa was right. If Musa was right to stand against Fir'aun, then every Musa is right to stand against every Fir'aun. Which one is it? And this matter is what plagues the ummah. So long as these tyrants remain in place as puppets of the American empire, the British empire, as long as they are puppets of the Israeli empire, puppets of the Arab world, the Muslim ummah cannot break free of this thinking, and it has a hajiz, a block against the movement of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. If that intellectual, moral block can be raised, and this element of what blocks people from understanding Hussein salamullahi alayhi can be removed, you will see people in their millions and billions flocking to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam's movement. We don't wait for Imam of our time to come and remove that. We do it. We do it on the pulpit. We do it with our friends. We do it with our families. We do it through social media in the way in which Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam did it, with the akhlaq and the intellect and the argumentation of Islam, not outside of that akhlaq. But it's very easy for us to show why the ummah is stagnated, why it's under the control of these people. And then we can ask them this following question. Whom would you rather be? Would you rather die the death of Abdullah ibn Umar or Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi or Muslim ibn Awsaja or Zuhair bin Qayn or Habib ibn Madahir? Who do you think had better understanding of Hussein's movement, Abdullah ibn Umar or Habib ibn Madahir? When Muslim ibn Awsaja fell, both Imam al-Hussein and Habib ibn Madahir ran to Muslim ibn Awsaja. You see, sometimes the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam were already slaughtered before Imam al-Hussein could reach them. And sometimes they were lying on the ground and they could see the two people approaching them. One was Imam al-Hussein, and the other was the Prophet coming to quench their thirst. Who do you call for first? At least, Imam, reach me for a last few minutes. Let me see your face for one last time. Do ziyarah of you before I go back and get my thirst quenched from the pool of Kawthar in this moment. When Muslim ibn Awsaja fell, he was one of those who was still alive. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and Habib ibn Madahir came to him. They sat down beside him. The Imam recited the ayah of Quran and said that there are those who have fulfilled their vows, and there are those who are yet and waiting to fulfill their vows. Meaning, a person like you, Muslim, you have fulfilled your vow. But a person like us and Habib, we are waiting to fulfill our vow. And then he says, Habib says to Muslim ibn Awsaja, have glad tidings of Jannah, for it is approaching you at this moment. If I wasn't certain that I, Habib ibn Madahir, was not going to follow you in a few minutes' time and also be killed, I would want to take your last words, your wasiyah. All Muslim ibn Awsaja could do was raise his hand, point to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and say to him, with every amount of strength that you have, my wasiyah for you is to look after this man, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. This is what I want from you. Can you imagine the heart of Habib ibn Madahir breaking at that moment in time? The whole reason I have come from Kufa is exactly for this. It is mentioned that on the night of the 4th of Muharram, Sayyida Zainab alayha salam was standing outside the tents, and she saw thousands of people from the army of Yazid joining that side of the camp. I want you to imagine the heart of Zainab as she looks out at tens of thousands arriving with horses and spears and arrows, and she looks behind her and all she sees are young women and children. She doesn't see more than maybe 70 companions. She breaks down crying, "Oh Hussein, my dear brother, I can't bear to know what is going to happen to you. Where are your supporters? Where are those that you were calling in Mecca and Medina? Where are those that you have written letters to? Where are those that you have been calling upon day after day? Here amasses the army of Yazid, whilst you only have have this small army of 72? Imam al-Hussein responded, but I have written to one individual who is coming. When that letter reached Habib ibn Madahir, he immediately left Kufa by stealth. He arrives at Karbala. When he arrives at Karbala, can you imagine the scene of Hussein's embraced with his long-lost friend? And he says to him, how much I have longed to see you. Do you know how much strength and happiness it gives that you are here? Can you imagine the commotion outside the tents? It is mentioned in some maqtal that at this moment Zainab alayhi salam says, what is the commotion, the sound outside? They said that Habib ibn Madahir has arrived. It is said that she says, pass my salam to Habib ibn Madahir. Oh men who are sitting in this hall, I want you to imagine that Zainab gives you salams for your arrival to help the Imam of the time. I want you to imagine that Fatima gives you salams for the efforts that you do in the way of Hussein. Pass my salam to Habib. It is said that when Habib hears of this, he cries out, who is Habib to receive the salams of Zainab? When Habib is martyred, this is maybe the most difficult martyrdom for Imam al-Hussein to bear when it comes to all of his companions. This is the man who looked after him since he was young, was the same age as him. Habib ibn Madahir was the commander of the left side of his army. But I want you to remember that companion, Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, when he went out into the battlefield, he said a line that shakes us in understanding what Zainab and what Kulthum and what Ruqayya was feeling in that moment. As he went out on his horse, he raised his head towards the sky. Hur said, "Oh Allah, I was the one who made the children of Fatima feel unsettled. I am the one who has made them thirsty. I am the one who has made them cry. I am the one who has made them fearful. I am the one who has made them lose their fathers and their brothers. Oh Allah, I have turned towards you. Please turn mercifully towards me." With these words, he goes into the battlefield and he is struck down. Imam al-Hussein comes to the bleeding head of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He places the head of Hur onto his lap. He places his own handkerchief onto his broken head. And he says to him, "Oh Hur, you are as your name. You are free. You are free to receive the water from the pool of Kawthar." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने मैनू बाज़ार च करवाए सफ़र लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने मैनू
बाजार च करवाए सफर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने। सुनो मसाहिब का बंद कि ए हो गुरबत किवे लफ्ज़ां च दसावा तैनू अरे बाज चदरां जदों बाजार ले आए मैनू हाय टोरिया नाल अलमदार दा सिर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने। और रोने के दिन है सुनो एक मसाहिब का बंद और कि जेड़ी गर्दन नू तू चुमदा रहा नाना साईं कि ओदा हाल होया भुलना नी मैं शरताई हाय उस गर्दन ते चला छोड़ खंजर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने ना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया लोकां। मैं मुहम्मद दी नवासी हाँ दसेंदी रहियां वास्ता तेरा भी मैं नाना पवेंदी रहियां फिर भी मार दिते मेरे पुत्र लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया अजरकुम अल्लाह अजरकुम अल्लाह। हाय हाय नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मैं मुहम्मद दी नवासी हाँ दसेंदी रहियां वास्ता तेरा भी मैं नाना पवेंदी रहियां फिर भी मार दिते मेरे पुत्र लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना ने नाना जेनू कई साल मैं बुरके च पलेंदी रहियां है आप जागा ओनू सीने ते सवेंदी रहियां है चीर छड़िया ओदा करबल च जिगर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां जेनू कई साल मैं बुरके च पलेंदी रहियां आप जागा ओनू सीने ते सवेंदी रहियां चीर छड़िया ओदा करबल च जिगर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया हवा से ना नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच अजरकुम अल्लाह मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां जेड़ी गर्दन नू तू चुमदा हरिया नाना साईं की ओदा हाल होया बोलना नी मैं शर ताईं उस गर्दन ते चला छोड़े खंजर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाल नेज़े तुरदा शिमर लगाई आके हाय मैनू बाज़ारां दे विच टोरिया रस्सियां पाके साथ मारे मेरे अकबर असगर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाल नेज़े तोरदा शिमर लगाई आके मैनू बाज़ारां दे विच टोरिया रस्सियां पाके साथ मारे मेरे अकबर असगर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने मोहम्मद जिल्ले वाली सराज विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना परदेस दे नाना मेरा घर लोकां ने रईयां पत्थरां दियां बरसातां च खुतबे पढ़दी वीर नूं रो न सकी दुनिया तो नाना डरदी मेरे खुतबे दालिया कुछ ना सर लो काने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने रईयां पत्थरां दियां बरसातां जो खुतबे पढ़दी वीर नूं रो ना सकी दुनिया तो नाना डरदी मेरे खुतबे दालिया कुछ ना सर लो काने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस 5 मिनट नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने नाना विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ने विच परदेस दे लुटिया मेरा घर लोकां ज़हरा जायां दा असरा गाज़ी है ज़हरा जायां दा असरा गाज़ी होया करबल होया करबल होया करबल दे विच जुदा गाज़ी ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी अज भी बिनते हुसैन रोंदी अज भी बिनते हुसैन रोंदी हथ मेरे कैद तो छुड़ा गाज़ी ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी आए ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी आए ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी छे जगह तो हुसैन चुने आए 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 फिर भी पूरा ना मिल सका गाज़ी ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी हाय ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा गाज़ी ज़हरा जायां दा आसरा अब्बास शिमर रज रज हुसैन को मारे शिमर रज रज हुसैन को मारे आए शिमर रज रज سکینہ کو مارے شمر رج رج سکینہ کو مارے جاندہ نہیں رہا غازی اے زہرا جایاں دا آسرا غازی اے شمر رج رج حسین کو مارے شمر رج رج حسین کو مارے جاندہ نہیں رہا غازی زہرا جایاں دا آسرا غازی اے زہرا جایاں دا آسرا بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your participation in today's Majlis. It's 6 minutes till the namaz for Maghrib. So you are requested to stay. Inshallah, we will offer Maghrib prayers in Jama'ah together. In 6 minutes' time, inshallah, we will resume with the adhan. Salawat.